Just a couple updates here. No real change in terms of Isaac. Will perhaps have more information here soon. I know he's spent some time back home and just had some tragic things that he was working through there with people close to him. As I mentioned, no update on Gene. He continues to make progress. As far as this week, obviously, we anticipate potentially playing another Big Ten game, so there's a little bit of a gap in our schedule. So we're practicing and preparing for a really good North Carolina team that was obviously preseason #1 in the country, deserving. They're talented, they're well coached. Hubert does a great job. And they present a lot of terrific challenges for us as we expected. So we'll dive deep into their preparation here towards the middle end part of the week. We'll continue to work on ourselves here, but obviously great respect for that North Carolina team, Hubert, and the challenge that will be presented on Saturday.
Chris, this time of year always presents challenges trying to figure out schedules and things with the holiday and with finals. How has this year then forced you to adapt maybe differently? How do you try to keep guys fresh and try to keep yourselves ready for a high-level game when you have a layoff like this?
Yeah, I think the rest is good, Adam. I think the challenge is it's too big of a gap in the middle of the season. No coach would prefer to have this many days off in the middle of your this early in the season. We really need to be playing games, but the Big Ten decided to give us 19 games, as opposed to 2 on the front end. So it's not something that we necessarily would prefer. We need to figure out a way to stay sharp. We're going to have to do some things in practice. We have North Carolina and then obviously Maine a couple days later, who won at Boston College. So we've got 2 more games before Christmas, and we're going to need to do some things here in practice to keep ourselves sharp.
Does this allow you, can you treat this as almost like an extra preseason or training camp type of session where you can maybe dial in on some of the things that have been frustrating you in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, to a certain degree, I think we will as we move forward. Some of it, we've had some guys out with various things they needed, like medical things, and then obviously with Isaac being gone. So our numbers have been limited, so we haven't been able to dive into that as much these past couple of days as I'd like to, but we should be able to get to that this week.
Coach, I know you talked about it a little bit after the game and on the radio, but just after reviewing the tape more, I guess your thoughts on how Bryce responded to his first start in a Big Ten game, and also your confidence in him to drop that play with 20 seconds to go.
Yeah. No, I feel like he's probably our best guy, at creating his own shot, and I think that's what you're looking for late in games is those guys that can create their own shot. And there's an art to getting a shot off against great defense. And he was being guarded by a really good player. I think if he'd have stopped maybe a half step early, I think he would have been able to get to a sweet spot there. But I've got tremendous confidence in his ability to do that. There'll be a number of guys we go to late that we've identified, but he'll certainly be one of them. I thought Bryce did a good job. I thought his attention to detail defensively was good. Griffin, and it needs to be good. I think it needs to continue to grow. His positioning was pretty good. Got beat on the glass a couple times, but all in all, that kind of performance in your first Big Ten game was really solid.
And we know, all the little things that Isaac does, but I guess going a whole game without him there in Big Ten play, what did you notice that kind of the team misses the most in his absence?
Just his impact defensively. I think that and some of his playmaking, his rebounding. I think we're going to have to figure out teams are going to really shrink the floor sometimes when he's out there. So I think we've got to figure out some areas there in terms of attacking offensively. But it's hard to replicate his physicality defensively, his ability to guard 5 positions. He's got good attention to detail. He's a really smart defender. And then he also does create some easy scores for us in transition with his ability to push the ball. So I think all those things we missed. Our defense defensive numbers were not great against Rutgers. I think in part, we did miss him not being there.
You mentioned on the radio show you guys might scrimmage. Is that just internally, or
Yeah.
would you look to get somebody in?
No, we can't do that right now. So it would just be an internal, try to get 15, 20 minutes of real live scrimmage action right now. I don't want to make too much of the break. We did play on Thursday, but still, it's to have a week, 6-7 days. Now, if you said, hey, flip it and let's do it in January when you have this, sign me up. I'm all for that. I would do that in a heartbeat. January, February. I just don't prefer it to be right now. I think we'll need that break come January, February versus right now.
You talked a lot about Tanner on the radio show as well. Where is it that you still need to see more from him? You
Defense.
said- okay.
Yeah, his defense, yeah.
Well,
He's got to guard the ball better. He's got to be more just solid in what we do there. He's getting attacked too much. He's a good athlete, and he's capable of doing it, but too many defensive lapses right now.
And I think most people would have expected scoring to be what he offered and where you wanted to see him contribute. Obviously, the jump up in level, and you talked about consistency, playing at that level, but what does he need to bring on that end that, or maybe he doesn't, maybe that's not something that you guys expected from him?
I think it'll come. He's not, some of it's not his fault. He hasn't had quite the shot volume, that he's had. So that's not his fault. He's, that's not on him. It's just the byproduct of kind of the makeup of our team. But what's going to get him on the floor right now is just rebounding, his attention to detail defensively. He'll be fine scoring the ball. He had a good look from three. He had a good look in transition. Loved his attack in transition the first half, but that's not what we need at the forefront for him.
When you look, first time this season that you guys have really been tested with a minute to go down the stretch there, when you find a way to win a game like that so early in the year, how can that help this team grow?
Oh, I think it's a tremendous, can be a tremendous help. Because you're going to play in a number of those games. Now, are there going to be 19 of those games coming up? I don't know, but there's going to be a lot of them. The Duke game had the chance to get there if we could have cut it to 3 or 4 in those last 3 minutes where we had a chance to cut it from 5 to 3 or from 6 to 4. I think it had a chance to get there, but that was really our first that went down, I guess, to the last minute, so to speak. So to be able to, I think what I was impressed with our guys was I don't want to minimize the fact that Bruce had to go up and make 2 free throws to put us in that position. And then our guys really did do a good job spacing and executing off of that missed free throw, kind of what we were running, which allowed the defense to be a little bit spaced enough for Tanner to make that great shot. So that was good to see.
I know you don't like the break, but with, the first part of the season kind of done here, does it give you a chance to evaluate your team more and kind of pinpoint some areas that you want to be better as you do move really to Big Ten play?
Yeah, absolutely. I think no question. I think that it continues to be at the beginning, good handoff there. Continues to be at the beginning, defense. I think that has to be continue to be where we grow and improve. And these next couple of days, hopefully, that and rebounding. But our rebounding numbers haven't steadily grown, but I know that's an area that can always get us.
Chris, looking at North Carolina, Pete Nance is a guy you're
Yeah.
familiar with. Was at Northwestern.
Yeah.
How does he complement this North Carolina team?
He's just a really good player. He's a really good player. He's a mismatch at 6'10", can shoot threes, can drive it, really skilled, can score in the long post, great length. It's a great pickup for them because he's a really good player and adds to just their backcourt's maybe the best backcourt in the country. Baycott's a tremendous player. They've got another team that can get to a Final Four. There's no question.
And then more on Baycott. I mean, he's one of the best bigs in the country. You guys have faced pretty good bigs so far this season, but what separates Armando from the pack?
Size and physicality. Yeah, his size and physicality. I think that's the biggest thing. Can score in the low post. He's a tremendously talented player.
Hi, Chris.
Hey,
If I'm wrong, please correct me. I'm trying to think back to after the Duke game. I think you were a little critical of Zed from an activity standpoint, energy, after that night. If I'm wrong on the game, correct me, but I think
first
back-
half, you're right.
Yeah, first half.
Yeah, I think the first half is when I was, didn't mean to cut you off, but
No.
that was when I was most critical.
And I'm thinking his response since then,
Yeah.
especially first half against Rutgers. When you think about the performer you saw on that night,
Yep.
can you walk us through his development and what you have to see out of him every night to get you where you need to be?
I think for us to have a good year, he's gonna have to be really consistent. I'm not saying we're asking what he did against Rutgers every night, because that was a tremendous offensive performance, but he can't have the gaps in consistency that we saw last year, and we've gotta help him with that. And we've gotta challenge him with that, because, he's now a junior. With that comes expectations, and one of the expectations is the consistency of performance. And I think that's what he's got to continue to do and grow in. Again, it's not going to be 22 and 14 or 24 and 14 every night, but we did challenge him at halftime of the Duke game. I thought he responded. I think Zed's going to see a lot of different types of defenses. He's going to see traps. He's got to begin to handle. He's got to handle those better. His ball screen defense has to improve, but yeah, to your point, he's responded well.
Coach, you touched a little bit on Roddy after the game and then in the radio show today. You noted that you think that you're going to see a different player come January, February. What have you seen from him in practice right now that leads you to believe that, and how important is he going to be with Ice out right now?
Yeah, I think he's really important, and he'll be even more important, yeah, with Isaac. Without Isaac, he's a two-way player. His defense is ahead of his offense. He's got a chance to, I think, grow offensively. I think we can see a different player come February offensively than what we do now. We just got to keep working. But he's 6'4", long, good defensive instincts, can really move, and we need that. And I thought he gave us some good things in the Rutgers game. I really did.
Touched on the defense and rebounding, and overall defensively, your numbers have slid a little bit
Yeah.
the last couple of
Yeah.
games. I just wondered, are you seeing trends? Is that matchup stuff? Obviously Ice not being there last game has an impact, but defensively, what have you seen the last couple of games?
Just too many lapses, Adam. Too many lapses. If I'm being honest, just too many pockets of play where we have to be more consistent in our details and in our approach. That's probably the biggest thing.
Is that easy to correct in practice, or those things that when you show them on film, can those be easily learned, or what is it like trying to, I guess, prevent lapses?
Yeah, I think it's both. I think our older guys need to lead the way with that, and lead the way in embracing how important that's going to be for this group. Again, our offensive numbers are, as they've been the last few years, are highly efficient. I'm not sure it'll stay like that, but defensively, we've got to close the gap, and our older guys have to lead the way there.
Good.
No, go ahead.
Just one more thing about Carolina, because obviously they entered the season #1 team in the country. They've had some struggles. What is it like preparing for a team that the results to this point maybe haven't matched up to the talent that you see on film and that they were expected of at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, I think with this Carolina team, it'll even out. They'll get on a run, and they're really talented. They're well coached. They'll be fine. I think they'll get on a run. I certainly think they can win the ACC. What they have is a team full of really good players and a great system. So I think they're certainly as talented as any team we have played. I think, like a lot of teams, they've had a couple stumbles early, but it's November and December right now. So as we saw with them last year, they can go on a tear late. They went on a tear late in the season, and then that really transferred into the postseason.
Chris, back in the olden days of college basketball 4 years ago, when you could bring in a transfer and have them said like CJ and Justice, those days are now gone. How have you had to change your approach to who you target and how you target them?
I think it's still evolving. You know, I think we're still trying to figure that out. The immediate transfer comes with some expectations. You know, you could sit and wait and observe, and you got a better feel for them in practice. Honestly, I think we're still trying to figure that out. I think we're trying to learn and figure out, you know, what transfers work best for us. And we've always talked about maybe when to plug a hole. You lose a Malachi that you weren't expecting to lose, so you got to get Sean McNeil. Those kind of situations. But I think we're still learning that, honestly.
What percentage of your 8-hour workday is is spent just dealing with the constant change?
Spent with what? I'm sorry.
Just dealing with the constant change of college sports right now.
You know, I think you can get consumed with that, and you know, it really takes you off of what's most important, which is coaching your team. There's certainly times where you get frustrated. You have conversations with your coaches or with other coaches, and you know, it can take you down a road that just doesn't help you perform at the best ability to coach your team. So, you know, listen, I think some of that's a conversation we'll have in the off season. And, you know, I've said this, coaches, you know, in general, we like to complain. It doesn't do any good really for any of us. The reality is, we all are blessed to do this, and we've got to figure out with this new changing landscape of college sports, how we can do it to the best of our ability. The good thing is the season is so all-consuming that I don't really have time to think much about it right now. Okay, thanks, guys. And congratulations, I meant to say, congratulations to our volleyball team on a great season.